I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this. There's a mountain up there called Table Mountain, and every summer for 4 days, amateur astronomers come from all over the place, and they set up their telescopes and look up into the heavens, and it's really an amazing thing to see all these telescopes up there. You've got a special place here in Ellensburg, a place where you can go outside and see the Milky Way. The International Dark Sky Association was originally formed to combat light pollution coming from Tucson and interfering with Kitt Peak, which is the most populated observatory in the world. It's about 50 miles west of Tucson. Tucson puts out about 1/10 the amount of light pollution of a comparable city. The mission of the International Dark Sky Association is to preserve and protect the nighttime environment and our heritage of dark skies through quality outdoor lighting. This local chapter, we cover Washington, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, but we're really, central here to Washington. So the philosophy of the IDA is that there are no enemies. Stopping light pollution is a win-win. There's no real losers when you control light pollution. And controlling light pollution takes time. It's like planting a forest. It takes time. Lighting engineers need to have the freedom to do things like raise poles up high enough so that they can shine light downwards instead of sideways. So the elements of light pollution are glare, light trespass, clutter. And clutter is like when you go out in your nighttime environment and you see things coming at you from every direction, and it's very confusing. Energy waste, which is kind of obvious, you're shining light up into the sky. Doesn't do anybody any good. And then finally, urban sky glow, the end result of it. So here's light trespass. Here's just basically the idea of light trespass. You've got your light shining from your property over to somebody else's property, and it creates a nuisance. Shine the lights down, and the light trespass issue goes away. And here's what we're talking about with glare. We've all seen it. And glare is bad because it makes it so you can't see. You put out the light out there to try and be able to see, but you end up making a situation where you can't see. So this is a map of the United States taken from weather satellites. And this map was compiled by Woody Sullivan, who's an astronomer at the University of Washington. In 2001, Cinzanzo and some other researchers in Italy put together a quantitative light pollution map of the world, and that's what we've got down here. And what these maps do is they show how bad the light pollution is how much sky glow there is in any particular location. If we zoom in here on the northwest, you can see here this giant dome of light, Seattle, right? And over here is Yakima, here's Ellensburg, Wenatchee, Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, and so on. You can see there are these nice pockets of dark, so if you go out there, you can really see the Milky Way nicely. You go down in southeast Oregon, it's got incredibly dark skies. But you can see this, like right where we're at here, you can see this dome of light that's getting bigger and bigger. If you live inside of the orange areas, so say here's an orange contour line. If you live inside of that orange contour line, you cannot see the Milky Way very well. It's pretty much obliterated. So anyone who lives inside of those orange lines doesn't have a view of the Milky Way. And you can take these maps and combine them with population maps. And in the United States, that works out to something like 80%, somewhere 70, 80% in that range. So most people in the United States can't see the Milky Way. And you can see here in Ellensburg that if you're right in the middle of Ellensburg, you can't see the Milky Way. Well, I don't know, you could tell me if that's true or not. But you don't have to get too far away from it, and it'll come out. This map shows how much light pollution is increasing over time. The data from these maps was collected in 1997, but there's other information that tells us how rapidly light pollution is increasing. And the figures that I've heard are something like overall light pollution is increasing at about 7% a year. Okay, so that means every 10 years or so, the amount of light pollution doubles. So now I want to talk about outdoor lighting. The key idea of outdoor lighting in terms of light pollution is to shine the light down. A typical urban surface, so you're talking about asphalt, grass, dirt, whatever, only reflects about 10% of the light that falls on it. So if I shine a light on the ground, only about 10% of the light bounces up. If it's wintertime, of course, that number goes up because snow reflects a lot more light. So if we have a lighting fixture that lets 10% of its light go up into the sky, makes twice as much sky glow as is needed, right? So the basic idea is stars up, lights down. We'll start here by looking at street lights. And here what I've got is this really cool street light. I saw two different fixtures on it. And the top one you can see on the right here, the top one's a full cutoff fixture. It's flat on the bottom. And then the other one's got the sag lens. So when you go out at night tonight after you listen to me, look around at the street lights and you'll start to see what I'm talking about here. So you got the full cutoff one and you've got the sag lens. And they're both attached to the same pole. Okay, on the left here, the idea is just to show how these two different light fixtures are spreading out their light. The full cutoff one has this area of usable candle power, and then it's got this small transition area here, and then it goes dark. And the non-cutoff luminaire has an area of usable candle power, but then it just spews its light everywhere. And here we take a look at these two street lights. I'm close to them. They both look the same, right? And then I step back and I look at them, and you can see the full cutoff one there on the left just kind of disappears. You can hardly see it actually, and the other one just keeps spreading out its light, right? So that's the idea. That's what we're talking about here, okay? And when you go around, you look, you'll see street lights that are lights that are flat on the bottom, they're full cutoff. If you go out in the parking lot here, you've got some beautiful lights that have got this flat bottom to them. Globe lights. Globe lights are quite common. They're used for decoration. You look at the globe lights, they look, daytime, they look all pretty. But when you go out and you look at them at nighttime, it's kind of a different story. You see, for one thing, they're not efficient. They're sending their light up into the trees. And here's a globe light right in front of the astronomy department at the University of Washington. Billboard signs are another big problem. Here is driving around, once again, I found an interesting situation where you had two billboards back to back. The billboards on the left were lit up from the bottom, and the billboard on the right is lit up from the top. And so, if you go out there and you look at nighttime on a foggy night, you'll see the lights on the bottom just shining up and lighting up the fog or clouds that are overhead. So it's sending light way up into the sky. It's not doing anybody any good. Whereas the one on the right shines light down onto the billboard, not up into the sky.